Hi there folks, welcome back to Rich Reviews. I hope you had a good Christmas. Now it's time to get back to the films. I think I have maybe between 5 and 8 more films before I get into the best and worst films of the year. And then we'll begin 2017. Yay, here's this 2017 folks. Yay. So, the latest review here is Nocturnal Animals. So this is written and directed by Tom Ford. He was originally a fashion designer, maybe even an architect at some point in his life. Based on a novel by Austin Wright called Tony and Susan of all things. So this tells 3 different stories, or a story within a story within a story, maybe like a story, and a flashback, there you go. The first story here involves Susan, played by Amy Adams. She's basically an art gallery owner, basically here, as we see early on in the film. She lives a high life here, obviously. She's married to Hutton, played by Armie Hammer here, and he's incredibly aloof, at times, and he's always searching for the next deal because these people live high off the hog. So at one point, during a dinner party here, she meets up with Carlos, played by Michael Sheen, and they have a very fascinating discussion here about the emptiness of their lives, and how, hey look, this is the way we live, this is how we are, basically, this is life. The second story here involves the manuscript called Nocturnal Animals. This is written by Susan's ex-husband, Edward, and it's called Nocturnal Animals because, and that was the name that Edward gave to Susan when they were married here. And this section here is incredibly uncomfortable to watch, but it's all the more riveting here. Now, so Nocturnal Animals, the book here, plays out like a Western. A very dark Western at that. It has Tony Hastings, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, along with wife Laura, played by Isla Fisher, and teen daughter India, played by Ellie Bamber. They're driving down at night on isolated West Texas highway when they are accosted by 3 creeps. One played by Aaron Taylor Johnson here. Tony is unable to defend them, and these 3 creeps drive off of Laura and India here. Whether or not this section of the story is whether it's completely fictional or whether it's a kernel of truth regarding what Edward thought was a breakdown of his marriage to Susan, or Susan regarding her emptiness of her life that she feels most days, this part is it's sort of interesting. So the third story here, and this involves a flashback to an earlier time when Susan was married to Edward, and all this feels natural in such a way that you don't feel like, okay, it's jumping from one place to the next, and to the next. It feels all rather smooth. And basically, at one point, Susan is having, like, I guess, a dinner thing with her mother, played by Laura Linney. At first you don't realize this is Laura Linney, and it's like it takes you a moment, but basically she's telling her daughter, hey, you're like me, you want material things, you don't want to be with Edward because he is not really good for you, or you can't be able to help him in such a way that you need to be with him. And of course Susan really is dismissive of her mother, basically, and then as time goes on, she becomes to realize, yeah, this is kind of true, even though it necessarily isn't. Apparently this is Amy Adams' year again. I guess that's what people are saying. And, again, I think this is a much more fascinating film than Arrival is. She'll be nominated for an Oscar for this film, even though she was also in Arrival. Arrival may or may not be nominated for Best Picture, even though Academy has something against science fiction films. This clearly is Tom Ford's version of a David Lynch film, because there are some of us that are just so downright bizarre, you just have to watch and see it. Also, even though Amy Adams is getting the lion's share of praise for this film, the one standout performance in this film goes to Michael Shannon. And oh my god, he plays this cop who is dying of lung cancer because he clearly smokes like a chimney. Michael Shannon is acting as if there is not a camera in front of him, folks. He is just simply that good. And there's a scene in which he's talking to Tony here, and when she says, how far do you want to take justice here, folks? In some way, it's like justice is not necessarily having him go off to prison for an indeterminate amount of years. It's simply the fact that, yeah, sometimes you really just want to go after the person and not think twice about fear. And it's like, wow, this is absolutely fascinating. Now here's the thing, folks. Most film endings are usually cut and dry. They have an ending that, you can live with here. Nocturnal Animals has an ending that'll probably be debated for many, many years to come. Whether, if you think it's this one particular ending or this one particular ending. And Tom Ford basically has acknowledged, hey, you want to look at it this way or you want to look at it that way, that's fine with me. Now, as I said earlier, Tom Ford was, I think, a fashion designer, or I think even a architect at one point. Clearly, that is influencing his film because, regardless of how the makeup on Amy Adams or the dresses on Amy Adams or just the houses in which Amy Adams live or just the set designs that influence the film. So, folks, Nocturnal Animals is one of those films that you're going to be talking about for the next few months, probably even if Amy Adams gets an Oscar nomination for this particular film. What I'm going to do here, folks, is I'm giving this a super awesome rating. Clearly, see this film. Yes, it's creepy. Some scenes are incredibly hard to watch, but this is well worth it, folks. See this film, even though some of you people will just hate this overall. So, folks, what did you think about Nocturnal Animals? Did you happen to like it? Did you happen to care for it at all? Please put that in the comment section here below, folks. As always, folks, like, comment, subscribe, enrich yourself with knowledge, help the least few films get more views. That'd be awesome, folks. I'll see you next time. Yay.